What can you tell me about them?
Well, these are straight from the Kenner Morgue, which was a place that they put Kenner toys when Kenner shut.
In the year 2000, after 50 years of toy making, Hasbro, now the owner of Kenner for almost 10 years, decided to close up the Cincinnati offices. If you lived in the area, this was a major story, as Kenner was a huge part of the town history. It was hard for a local not to know someone that at least knew someone that worked at Kenner. Kenner had been there for over 50 years, and in those 50 years the offices and its warehouse has collected a number of items, to say the least. Kenner had 2 offices and 1 warehouse in the Cincinnati area. A location inside the large warehouse became known by the Kenner employees as the Kenner Morgue, as it was a place where they kept all the old toy concepts, original artwork, packaged prototypes, and almost anything Kenner felt it might need one day. With the closing of the warehouse, Hasbro had to finally clean house, so they gathered up a team of soon-to-be laid-off employees to catalog all that was in the Kenner Morgue. And then from that list, Hasbro will let them know what to send to the Hasbro office in Rhode Island, or what to trash. Hasbro was closing Kenner to save money, and the last thing they wanted was to ship items they wouldn't ever need to be stored in a warehouse collecting dust. To Hasbro, most of what was in the morgue was old and worthless. Hasbro did want a few items, things that they felt they could reuse. If it was a kick-bash prototype, or some mechanism that they could study to see how it worked, they wanted it back. If it was something they felt had no use anymore, it was to be trashed. Once everything was cataloged, Hasbro sent out an email listing what was to be kept and what was to be trashed. The email let the ones cleaning house know that basically Hasbro wanted 3D models, samples, and prototypes that had a future potential use. They did not want back 2D flats, package samples, renderings. Those items should be trash. The email made it clear a number of times they did not want 2D flats. They did break down some toy lines that Hasbro felt had a future potential and they wanted back. They were anything related to Batman, Brats of the Lost Nebula, Ghostbusters, G.I. Joe, Mask, SSP, Star Wars, Vortex, Tonka, Aliens, Nerf, and Little Pet Shop. What did Hasbro feel was a dead line that they'd rather have trashed? Centaurians, Bill and Ted, Chuck Norris, Megaforce, Swamp Thing, Silverhawks, RoboCop, Police Academy, Mummies Alive, and Beetlejuice. According to this leaked email, they still was waiting on input from the Girls brand, Creative Play Toys, and preschool items. A 128-page list that was sent from Hasbro to Kenner listed items to send back to Hasbro, highlighted in green, and all the other items could be trashed. The items marked with a TX or HX were codes to tell what person was responsible for destroying the listed item. The Kenner Morgue wasn't just full of old toys that were deemed unwanted. Also in the same warehouse was a section known as the Kenner Museum. This is where Kenner kept final production examples of many of their toy lines. These items went far back in the history of Kenner toys. One ex-employee of Kenner said they kept 1 to 4 cases of every Kenner toy ever made. Now when you hear Kenner Museum, you think they were all well organized and in a nice glass case for all to see and remember. In reality, the toys were kept so that the Kenner employees working on the new toys could check out items in the museum to use for their current project. Let's say a team was working on figures for the new Robin Hood action figure line. They could check out some figures from Star Wars or the Superpowers line to help them make up the Robin action figures. Or maybe they wanted to add some action feature to a new toy and needed to look at the inner workings of an old toy to see how it was done. It was more of a toy designer's workshop than a museum. These leaked withdrawal request forms show that Kenner employees would have to check out needed toys and if they planned to return it to the museum or not. During the time when Kenner was still active, no one was allowed to take anything from the museum area without a signed access slip by the Kenner's legal department. There was times before Hasbro closed down the warehouse that Kenner would do some house cleaning on items they no longer felt was needed. When Hasbro closed down Kenner, anything in the museum area was shipped to Hasbro. Like the Kenner employees that were tasked with doing an inventory of the morgue, they also had to inventory the museum. That 98-page inventory list was then sent to Hasbro. Most of what was in Kenner's morgue, however, ended up in the dumpster to be trashed and lost forever. Sadly, Kenner finally closed down. 100 people was transferred to Rhode Island and 420 were laid off. In 2020, the former home of the Kenner Morgue and Museum, the warehouse and factory that makes so many toys we all love, was tore down in order to build the Two Oaks neighborhood. The home office of Kenner still stands today on Kenner Street, across from the Cincinnati Museum Center, which was used by Kenner for the design of the Hall of Justice for the Superpowers action figure line. And its headquarters was located in the Kroger building, still stands today. Hasbro has kept the name Kenner alive and well thanks to their retro Star Wars packaging. But for us fans that grew up with Kenner, a name on a Hasbro package will never be the same as a real Kenner toy. I want to thank you for watching. As always, thumb up so I know you like my content. Subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk again soon.
Junkman.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.